8,000 years ago, in the foothills of these Northwest mountains, the first farmers in the subcontinent began the transition to settled life, cultivating crops like wheat and barley. By 4,700 years ago, that small-scale farming had expanded into some of the world's earliest urban centers, flourishing specifically along the banks of the Indus River system. As centuries passed, the centers of power shifted southeast. By 2,500 years ago, the region south of the Ganga River became home to Magadha, one of the most powerful kingdoms in ancient India. These civilizations left behind massive footprints, but the people themselves have now been gone for thousands of years. We are left looking at a world where every direct witness is long dead. This creates a gap between what we claim and what we can prove. For instance, we say the name India comes from the river Indus. But how do we actually know that Iranians and Greeks crossing the northwest borders 2,500 years ago were the ones who first popularized that term? We know because scholars cross-reference the physical earth with the accounts those travelers left behind. Reconstructing this story requires looking at specific sources, the surviving fragments of writing and the objects people left in the soil. Our first source is the manuscript. These were books written by hand on specially prepared bark from Himalayan birch trees or on dried palm leaves, recording everything from epic poems to early medical science. Because these are organic materials, they are incredibly fragile. Over the centuries, many were lost to dampness or simply eaten away by insects, leaving us with only a fraction of what was originally written. To find records capable of surviving for thousands of years, we have to look for messages etched into much more durable materials. These are inscriptions. Unlike the soft palm leaf, these words were carved into hard stone pillars or metal plates, specifically designed to withstand the elements. Because carving stone was expensive and labor-intensive, these records weren't for everyone. Kings, like Ashoka, used them to publish royal orders or commemorate military victories, ensuring their personal legacy was literally set in stone. This creates a natural bias in the written record. While the thoughts of ordinary people rot away on leaves, the commands of the powerful survive on rock, leaving us with a story that initially seems to only belong to kings. To find the people missing from those royal inscriptions, we have to look beneath the surface. This is the work of archaeology, the study of the physical things people made and used in the past. When an archaeologist uncovers a clay pot like this one, they aren't just finding a container. The style of the zigzag patterns and the method of firing the clay tell us about the daily technology and aesthetic choices of a community 4,700 years ago. We can also track the movement of wealth through imperishable currency. These early silver coins, stamped with symbols and circulated 2,500 years ago, provide a map of how ancient markets actually functioned. Some of the most significant evidence is biological. Animal bones reveal the local diet, while charred seeds, which survive longer than fresh ones, provide the only physical proof of what ancient farmers were actually growing in their fields. Often, the discarded scraps and buried ruins of a society provide a more representative picture of the past than the grandest monuments ever could. Even when a source is found, it remains silent until we can place it in time and understand its language. This is where we apply a unified timeline. Dates marked before Common Era, or BCE, count backward toward the past, while Common Era dates count forward, allowing us to align different civilizations on a single scale. Then there is the challenge of the script itself. Decipherment is the process of comparing unknown ancient shapes to known sounds to unlock their meaning. Consider these Egyptian cartouches for Ptolemy and Cleopatra. They provided a starting point to match symbols to known historical names. By identifying shared symbols, like this lion, scholars determined it represented the L sound. This comparison eventually unlocked the translation of entire languages. Without this constant process of translation and comparison, the original voices of the past would remain nothing more than decorative shapes on a wall. When we look at all these different streams of evidence together, we get a much wider view of the ancient landscape. Combining the records found on fragile leaves with the hard data from buried seeds and stone pillars reveals a complex, multi-layered civilization. We see that the lived experience of a herder in the Garo Hills was distinct from that of a king in Magadha. They existed in the same time, but moved through very different worlds. This diversity of experience is why we use the term our pasts in the plural. There is no single monolithic story that applies to everyone who lived before us. History is an active, evolving investigation. With every new inscription translated or seed excavated, the story of who we are is refined and expanded.